So, and we're back to our normal setup, which is just me back in the Dearborn area and Chris in the west side of the state. Somewhere in between, somewhere off 96. I'm Rahel Castillo, alongside Chris Brown. And tonight we'll be recapping the day 1 and day 2 of the draft. Tigers at the All-Star break, and we'll be recapping the entire minor league week. But first and foremost, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Tiger Minor League Report or Motor City Metrics podcast. And I want to thank the donators yesterday, the heavy hitters, Elton, and I believe it was Mark, who donated quite a bit there. Thank you so much. That was really helpful, and that will definitely go a long way. And, of course, if you want to subscribe to our Patreon, we've got a bunch of bonus content on there. I'm sure we're going to be throwing some more content on, draft content on there as well. So if you subscribed, you're new, welcome. Thank you. And we thank you, all our Patreon subscribers. And probably, hopefully by the end of the week, when I get some more time, I will be doing like a thank you Patreon screen at the end of each video. So if you don't mind your name being up there, I'll just put your first name if that's cool. If not, no big deal. But just want to thank everybody who's been subscribing as of late. And it's just been the last 24 hours. Sleep has not been thing. I didn't get back till about 1:30 last night from your house, and then I went right to bed. And then I had to get up for work, and of course, work was. I don't want to get into work right now, but was that? But then the draft happened, so I was trying to do two things at once today. And,
anybody who was following along with that, Raj was the one doing all the actual tweeting about the draft today, all the graphics, all the tweeting about the players. I was occasionally retweeting something if I found a video of a player, but it's just a sort of thing where at my work I can't really do that right now. But yeah, I mean, I could have gone to bed last night when you left. It was like about 12:15, 12:30. But I stayed up for an hour and a half trying to find footage of Jordan Yost playing high school games. I found one from like a quarter mile away view, so we'll see what happens there. But it's it's an exciting time of year, right? There's all sorts of stuff going on right now. We were both talking about we don't particularly care about the home run derby anymore. It feels a little bit like it's for kids, which is fine, right? Whoever likes watching the ball go far, that's great. But futures game. Midway point of the minor league season. What?
Oh no, that was just fixing the mic there.
Gotcha. And the draft. We obviously put a lot of time and effort into the draft and follow it, and it's always fun because I don't know. We heard about 4 of these players about 2 weeks ago, like, and the other 15, 16 were like, who? Let's look into this guy. And but the thing is, like, at this time next year, a handful of these guys will be prospects on our list because that's just how it works. So it's an interesting group. And we're not going to do the regular slides like we do normally. But we will do some minor league updates here. But this is kind of going over the second day of the draft for the most part and touching on some other stuff.
And not to mention, too, there'll probably be a couple of articles this week regarding how Erie first half of season, what have you, and what's going to change. And so there's going to be definitely some more content that way. But that being said, at the same time, the slides are really what we will end up doing is we'll probably do the slides for the Patreon folks. That's what we end up doing with them. Usually we'll put them up so instead of tomorrow, they'll be up on Wednesday instead. Those are just the minor league stats that we put up for paid Patreon members who this is a little thing we put on there, so we really appreciate it. Onel Cruz with a 513-foot bomb is impressive. It's not that I don't mind. I think it's maybe the presentation ESPN does with the home run derby. It's just it seems like I don't know, like I did see Jeff Passan rip on somebody from John Boy Media, which was pretty funny to me, but
nice.
I just don't. I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I it's not that I think the outfield. I think the thing about the home run derby is like the one at Comerica Park with Bobby Abreu, and then the Brandon Inge where it was anticlimactic where he didn't even hit home runs. After a while, I just like to see something really cool. Like I think in Korea, I think it's in Korea or Japan, where they have like a skills competition where you can see like somebody hit a ball through a hoop, like a circle or something like that. They have a bunt competition. That would be kind of cool. You know?
Yeah, they've done things like that in the Arizona Fall League where you hit it at a certain spot and you get extra points, or you hit it off a ramp and it goes. There are ways to spice it up like that, but it's about getting people in the stands, and it is. I mean, watching these guys hit the ball very far is remarkable at times. It's pretty cool to go to a home run derby in person, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where the first 450-foot home run is shocking, and then when you see like the 40th, you're like, like it just the novelty wears off pretty quickly. It's like nudie magazines. Something for daddy.
No, there's just something about that. It's just I don't know. Like for me, it's simply it's cool to see it happen. Yeah, is it still the camera's doing the thing?
I don't know why it's doing that.
But I think the one thing about the All-Star weekend is the All-Star week rather is the futures game. I think there's a game there's a showcase thing on Friday. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes. You always correct me. There we go. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that are cool with it, but I mean, I would love to attend one as a media person. So that would be cool to do.
Yeah.
Or what have you. So,
yeah. And the All-Star game itself is pretty cool. It's cool to see that the Tigers have the Green and Torres are batting 1 and 2, and Baez is batting 8th or whatever, and Scooble's the starter. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and the 6 Tigers in the All-Star game is pretty badass. That is by far what I'm looking forward to the most, as I'm wearing an Expos hat.
What you just need to hope it's not the highlight of the year.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. We're having Gary Gillette, the Sabre chapter member. He's a chapter president. Gary Gillette, for those who read a lot of baseball books, he's done a lot of things. He's worked with Bill James, and Kyle says Chris already has better camera angles in Home Run Derby.
Hello.
But Gary's gonna be writing an article about the Tigers and kind of where they're at right now. So I'm looking forward to it. It's really cool to have a guy with Gary's pedigree on our website writing for us, and he's written. There's a lot of Sabre. You've read his stuff, and you may have not known it. So, So, well, we can start in a lot of different directions, but I do want to start really quick with the Tigers getting swept by the Mariners. For those who missed, but we'll get to the draft. There'll be plenty of draft conversation. But I wanted to address that because I know a lot of people. There was a lot of things they were concerned about. All of a sudden, Tommy Cahill is a crappy reliever. That's the reaction that I got on Twitter, social media reaction. That all of a sudden the Tigers have some bullpen. They have some leaks in the bullpen, but it's also a team that still has the best record in all of baseball. Is there things to be concerned about with? Absolutely. Are the Mariners a damn good team? Yeah, Cal Riley, and I said this on Thursday. I was looking forward to watching him hit, and him and Julio Rodriguez were the biggest pain in the asses in the series by far. And the Mariners have pretty good pitching too.
Yeah, it's a talented team, and they were just firing on all cylinders. Everybody was hitting. It wasn't just Cal Riley. It wasn't just Julio Rodriguez, although they were doing a ton of damage. Randy Rosarena was hitting. Jorge Polanco hit a home run. Cole Young hit a home run. It just seemed like everybody. Dominic Canzone had like a 4-hit game. They just, they loved hitting there at Comerica. They like hitting away from their home field. And it just was one of those things like you kind of felt like this might happen to the Tigers at some point, right? Like they've been able to avoid losing streaks for the most part because Scooble's so good, right? And he's like that stopper. But he's not, a god amongst men. And every now and then he's going to make a couple mistakes. And he did in that first game. And the only problem was that the Tigers couldn't overcome that with their offense. Their offense was okay the rest of the series. In some ways, it was a little bit like kind of a perfect bookend to the first half, right? It was a little bit like that Dodgers series, the first series of the year in LA, where they got swept and they were scoring. They just could not keep the other team from scoring, which doesn't make you feel much better. But I guess all things being equal, I would rather the offense show some life and the pitching kind of fumble around than the other way around. There's nothing worse than a team that just can't do anything on offense, and maybe that's just because that's what we had for like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I do remember the times in the early 90s where the team could score plenty but couldn't pitch, and that was also pretty bad too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just recency bias.
Oh, no, I mean, and Riley Green, by the way, hitting among the top 3 of RBIs in the first half of the season. That was good to see. And same thing with home runs. I think he's among the top 5 first half. Scott Wilson, uniforms are terrible every year for the All-Star game. Whoever approves this should be fired. Go back to regular team jerseys. I agree. If there's nothing, if we want to look at something that to me is the Tigers at the All-Star game in terms of just like the roster being just as far as like full representation was when Lou Whitaker forgot his number. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but so he forgot. I think it was forgot his jersey, or I believe, or something to that effect. And yeah, they had to I think use a pen or like a felt pen
like
there,
a marker or something like that.
Yeah. So there it is, right there.
Yeah, great. Yeah, they just drew it right on. I think they are using the regular jerseys here for the actual game. They might just be wearing. Yeah, I think they're just wearing jerseys because it's something else to sell.
Yeah, and this is when they were wearing the home jerseys here in '85. This was at the Metrodome. I hate that place. There's one place I hated more than anywhere else that I never been to, and I'm glad I never got to go to this place, was the Metrodome. I hated the Metrodome. I hated everything about it. I hated it on TV. It just gave me anxiety. It's just because it was my first experience watching the Tigers lose postseason in '87 when I was a kid. So anyway, yeah, they are wearing the jerseys this year. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
No, he had to buy a replica. Okay, so he had to buy. That's what it was. Okay, thank you. Yeah, he had to wear essentially a jersey, a kid's jersey, essentially. Well, I don't want to say kid's jersey, but.
Yeah, just something. It's kind of remarkable that they had one there. I wouldn't expect to go into the Comerica Park stands. Maybe it was just but anyway, it's fun to have the Tigers in the All-Star game. What you hope right now is that this is kind of the very early stages of, not necessarily a dynasty, but a large window of competitive teams. And this is just like the first taste. In 2-3 years from now, we'll get really used to this sort of thing, but it's been a long time for Tigers fans. So I mean, we're talking close to a decade, right? That they've had a lot of All-Star representation. Maybe 17, they had some, but yeah. So they're starting to get some stars again, and now it'd be cool to have them go out there in the All-Star game and have some big moments.
So we talk about homegrown prospects all the time, and prospects here, and that's our thing. But Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal are the first 2 homegrown prospects to hit the All-Star game and play for the Tigers since 1985, since Dan Petrie and Jack Morris. So it's been 40 years since the last time that happened. And it's only really, as far as pitching goes, the Tigers never really have more than. And they also have Willie Hernandez, but I mean, technically he was he wasn't a prospect. But my point is that usually the Tigers would have maybe 1 or 2 pitchers in the All-Star game tops. Just it was Fidrich in '76 comes to mind as well.
Or but certainly not multiple starters, right? Even though they probably should have there in the in the teens, right? With
I was stunned by that.
But maybe they did, and they weren't homegrown, right? Like Scherzer was a trade, and Sanchez was a trade. But yeah, it's it's pretty cool. This it is easy to forget because of that lousy final series, but they still do have the best record in baseball, and they still do have the best winning percentage in all of minor league baseball, and they still have one of the top farm systems, and there's a lot of good stuff going on here. They have some issues, they need to fix them, but they have all the ammunition they need to fix it if they have kind of the willingness to do it.
Yeah, and that's where this is where Scott Harris loves his farm system. We've talked about this a couple times too. Like he is kind of like us with here. As a somebody commented here, as a Montrealer and a current Tigers fan, I never felt like I belonged more than right now.
Nice.
No, so I'm just doing this also just to honor the Expos because they're not around anymore. But no, it's Harris is attached to these guys, and he loves. And I think it was you or Bentley said this yesterday. It was a really good point about he is in the process in development. He is into he does what we do every night, but he doesn't clip them all. But I mean, he relies on us to do it, as you said last week,
Well-
where you watched a couple guys in a West Michigan game actually watch our website.
I think that was just because they could. Like, they have their TrackMan Hawkeye guys at every game, and they have however many cameras set up around the park, and they get all their own video and upload it, and Harris can access that at night. So it's not just what, but I'm sure sometimes they want to go, oh, all right, take a look, just watch a clip from the minor league TV, and we provide a bit of a shorthand for him. But yeah, it's something that he really likes. It's kind of hit the foundation, or seems like what he's interested in. But he kind of is into player development at every stage, including in the big leagues, and so it just kind of stands to reason that he would also care about the details down in the lower levels.
Yeah, and that's where, speaking of the lower levels too, that was one thing that we got to witness over the weekend was Jose Basueno hitting an absolute beautiful, majestic thing. And this is a guy who we got a chance to talk to Greg Yang, the voice of the Erie Seawolves, who's been doing Tiger games. He was one of the things he said to us when I saw him over the weekend is that because he did the Tigers games on Saturday and Sunday, was how big Briseno was, and he came up on a big stage on Saturday for the Features game. And Chris, there's some fun too. The right fielder who's is it Cassie?
Owen Casey.
Owen Casey, thank you.
He's a Canadian. Was once committed to University of Michigan. I think he was drafted by Mark Connor and the Padres, and then traded to the Cubs. So yeah, I mean, he misjudged that. He's playing in a new park. Also, people don't necessarily know how strong Jose Briseno is. We saw that in his first double in Harrisburg. The center fielder was playing about 40 feet too shallow. I don't know why they don't expect him to crush the ball, but that's what he does.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that wasn't even as hard. He ball 103 miles an hour that nearly killed Jonah Tong. It was just a sizzling line drive that was right at Connor Griffin, and he caught it. And then he came up and did that, a 370-foot triple off the wall.
Yeah, and the big man can roll down the base fast. Yeah,
wouldn't expect that. He's probably a 30 runner if we're being generous. Yeah. Probably 20 run to first. But you give him credit, right? For he wasn't hogging it out of the box. Obviously, it bounced off the wall, and he had some room to run. But he could have stood there and admired it. Maybe he knew that he didn't get all of it, but it was nice to see him show up. Max Clark worked a walk, stole second, and then got an infield single. I think it was the first single of the game, and he scored at least one run. And for a while there, I thought he might be the MVP, and then Josue DePaula hit a 3-run homer, and that was that.
About the Call Up podcast, those guys, nice thing about the big three minor leagues. The Call Up podcast, I think that's just baseball. Yeah, those guys are good. I like those guys. Is
that an Aram and would it be and Clay?
Yeah, I think Clay's on there. Yeah, Clay's good. Yeah, Clay's a friend of the show. Good friend of the show. Every time he's in town, I feel bad because he'll tell me like the last day he's in town. He's like, I'm going to the game today. I'm like, man, I got stuff going on. Clay's good people. Just Baseball's good people. In fact, I have one that I have a cat behind me. Clay sent me. So those, they did a really good job breaking down McGonagall's swing too. They did a slow mo on it that I posted. That's been posted. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was, it showed him. He basically was able to get the barrel on. McGonagall went 0 for 2, but there were 2 like deep flyouts where he caught him flush. But that one, yeah, it was like a Colt Keith swing. It was like, that's pretty awesome, but don't swing at that. It's like a foot above the strike zone. That he was able to hit it at all was amazing, and then hit it the third was amazing. But but I get it. It's an all-star game. You want to do something fun.
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of the Cal Raleigh home run on Friday. I mean, that slider was. I mean, it was like 6 or 7 inches off the plate, and he was like, boop, and just flicked it to left center. And that's the kind of power he has. And same thing with Julio Rodriguez. When you throw him 3 straight changeups, that third changeup by Skubal sat on it and just crushed it. But no, and the one thing about the Futures game too that was interesting was we joked about this that Marquise Grissom Jr. was out there, and his father was the manager of the Braves, but it was like it was like the mercy pick for the Nationals. Like, all right, we're gonna send somebody. Here you go.
That's what. Yeah, I think when we saw him in, I'm like, oh, Briseño should hit a home run off this guy. And then
Yeah.
I was watching. I'm like, oh, he did.
Yeah.
And like now, oh, it's a triple. And
Yeah.
it's we remember those days as Tigers fans where it was Jennerton being sent to the Futures game or Wilkin Ramirez multiple years just because they didn't really have anybody else. Nobody who made any sense. And the way they used to do it the United States versus the world. And so I think
Yeah.
Winterton was Canadian, so they were able to get away with that. And but I think that an American League and National League's a better way to do it. We don't need to push any strange international relations worse than they are.
Point. Not to mention those jerseys are always terrible. The jerseys never seemed like they were good, at least. And so I don't know. I don't remember any memorable ones either. There's not ones that like stand in my mind. All of them are just kind of at this point. I don't remember a single one of them. There's nothing.
The jerseys?
No, I meant the games themselves. The world, the.
Oh, well, I mean, I remember a few games, but a lot of them sometimes it just has to do with like specific plays. Like I remember Castellanos hitting a big home run in Kansas City and winning the MVP. I remember Eloy Jimenez when he was still a prospect making like an incredible catch in left field. Like he looked like a super athletic, he made I think he flew over the wall and made a catch. And now I think he was just released by Tampa or whomever in the minors because he can't do anything.
Yeah, Tampa just released him. Yeah, it's a shame too because his numbers have just been progressively worse, and it's weird too because Colas was also released, so the kind of Cuban wave has been dying down for the White Sox, and they haven't really had a chance to. I don't know if Colas signed anywhere else.
I haven't heard. He probably did, but I haven't. Yeah.
Maybe he signed. I felt like he signed somewhere else, but. Maybe the Angels? Sounds right. I think he signed with the Angels.
That would make sense. They're grabbing everybody who's anybody has heard of before.
Yeah, it's the Angels. Their draft was, of course, the running jokes about the Angels continue to crack me up.
Well, when they keep doing what they're doing, it's hard not to joke about it. Like, they just take all these guys who they can get to the big leagues right away. They did take a couple high schoolers this year, I think. One of them, they took Luke LaCourse, the pitcher from Bay City.
Yeah.
I'm sure they took him.
I think it was a 12th. Was it 12th round?
Something like that. Let me look. I can look right now. Los Angeles Angels. They took sixth round. So that's a $400,000 slot. He'll probably get close to double that, I would think.
Yeah, and let's as far as like the draft goes, let's talk about let's dive into the draft a little bit outside of the Tigers because I think that it is the Nationals kind of made the headline because the week before they fired Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez, and so the amount of kind of uncertainness of what there was no consensus, number one. And this was a draft too where we saw shortstops going like it was candy. It was really a lot of projection arms. Like you can tell Jonathan Mayo and Jim Callis were sick of saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But that's the way it was. I mean, as far as like there's a theme, there was 3 themes going on in the first 20 picks. One, Corona High School in California is a juggernaut. We starting, if you don't know about it now, you do. I think they had 3 picks within the top 30, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right. Or three of the top 31 and 4 of the top 40, something like that.
And then the University of Tennessee had everybody. I mean, so the University of Tennessee had a pick at number 5 with Leo went off the board. Then they had Gavin Klein at number 20. I'm sorry, at number 13. Then Andrew Fishner at number 20 to the Brewers. And then, so it just kind of, they were flying off the board relatively quickly, and then as far as like high school prep shortstops, there was 3 drafted in a row. Avila Arquette at number 7 in the Marlins. Number 8 was Jojo Parker. What's up?
Arquette was a college player, but
I'm sorry. Shortstops. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great draft for shortstops. But yeah, that's. I think they were saying what was like each of the first 16 picks was a shortstop or a pitcher. That was until the outfielder was taken.
Correct.
Which is kind of wild. And I mean, I don't think Ethan Holiday is a shortstop, but everybody else. I mean, maybe JoJo Parker moves out the position, but everybody else is like a legit shortstop. So it's a great draft.
Yeah, Casey, who was rumored to be the Tigers, was drafted at 18 by Arizona. Ike Irish, who had some character concerns, came up at number 19. Baltimore had quite a bit of picks there, and they took a full advantage of. They had the most money to play with. Sean Gamble, who was allegedly targeted by the Tigers, was at pick number 23. Cruz Schoolcraft, who everybody liked a lot, who I thought was was projected to go to Kansas City, went to number 25. And I was gonna talk to Justin, Justin from the Cleveland, from the Locked On Tigers or Locked On Guardians podcast, and they really did not like their draft at all. I mean, they were I don't want to say furious, but they had some comments, to say the least. There was a lot of back and forth there.
Yeah, I mean, well, they took a couple players who have gigantic red flags, in Jace Laviolette and Nolan Schubert. If those guys work out, you got 30 plus home run power, but they're both guys with big time swing and miss issues, and Schubert's not a very good athlete. It's just it was a very un-Guardians draft, which maybe they've decided, hey, let's switch it up for once.
Right.
But it did not feel like the sort of draft they normally do. Dean Curley was a solid pick for them. He's an interesting guy who came into the year as a first rounder, kind of considered like a no doubt first rounder, and then he didn't have a great year offensively for Tennessee, and then his defense, it completely fell apart. Like he was making throwing errors left and right. He had to move from shortstop to third base to second base, and just one of those years where it kind of fell apart. But the talent is there that he could get it all together and be one of those super annoying players we see at Lake County and Akron and Columbus.
Yeah, and I know that one of the things that they were talking about is that Cleveland, I guess, were looking for more power bats. They got them.
Yeah. They're not great hitters, but we'll see.
Yeah, their first pitcher was Will Hines, who was out of Ontario, the Canadian, at he was a competition B pick. And so actually one of the picks I did like a lot from them was the lefty Nelson Kehoe, or pitcher out of Oregon State.
Kelyo?
Kelly,
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I did like that pick quite a bit for them too. And there was our friend of the show, Joe, was a Penn State guy. Went to Ryan DeSanto, went and picked number at the 12th round. But yeah, there was. I mean, as far as like drafts goes, I know everybody talked about Baltimore's draft. Everybody was a big fan, but Boston really went out of their way to address pitching pretty quickly. They, just like the Tigers, had a plan for pitching. Kyson Witherspoon at pick number 15. I really like that a lot for them. The Anthony Eisen too at pick number in the 3rd round. That was really they went strong right-handed heavy pitching. They went I believe it was let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Their first 8 picks, at least 5 of them were right-handed pitchers.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've kind of gained a reputation as being very good at developing hitters, but they're pretty good at developing pitchers too. They've had some guys pop up in the last few years, so they added some really nice arms there. Witherspoon is, of course, the twin brother of the Malachi Witherspoon that the Tigers took, and Phillips. He's a big, strong righty, like you said, very physical, upper 90s fastball, good slider. And Ianson is one of the better sort of just pitchability pitchers in the draft. His fastball doesn't have great metrics and got hit around a little bit, but he knows how to pitch. And if you get a guy like that, and that's kind of like the Reese Olson, right? You figure out a way to make the fastball work if you have to give him a 2-seamer, if you have to have him throw it to the edges or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, that could end up being a really nice draft. You never know. We never know about any of these things, right? Like there was that one year when the Royals took like 6 college pitchers because they kept falling to them. And
Yeah.
Brady Singer, Jackson Kowar didn't work out at all. Brady Singer was, meh, a couple good years. Now the best one of them is like Chris Bubich, I think, and it took a while. So you just never know. It's going to take years and years. And with the Tigers draft in particular, like this is a very much like, I don't know, come back to me in 3-4 years. This is going to be a very slow burn, I think, for this draft.
Yeah, and I got the draft board here. I'm going to pull up here in a second. But Ray is, by the way, shout out to him and Prospects Live. They did a live show as well yesterday, and they had to cover a lot more ground than we did because they had to do all the teams. So,
That's a tough job.
That's a tough job. So, prospectslive.com, just to plug them. There's a very good website for they had a mock draft simulator that I used a couple times. It's really, there's a lot of cool tools too. If you play fantasy baseball, which has helped me crush doing well in Chris's league right now. So thank you very much, Rays. It's a site that I use very often, but no, it was problematic. That's the best way to put it. Fill the gaps type of draft, and they have in terms of did they have a pool? Did like Ninja Bees? No, Prospects Live did not have a pool, but I'm sure they had something else pretty cool. Rays can actually answer that question better than I can. But no, the one thing about the Tigers, the one I was saying this, that the Tigers needed to draft pitching, and they went ahead and addressed. He said, Reyes said he's working on trying to get a pool going. But this is what they did. They addressed the pitching here, and looking at some of the kind of a fun stat thing I did here, which was, let me see if I have this right up here. Okay, so I have it. So the Tigers picked 10 pitchers total in the draft, and 13 pitchers chosen, 6 straight pitchers from rounds 2 to 7, 7 high school players drafted, 8 right-handed pitchers, 3 players drafted from Florida, 3 junior college players, which we'll get to in a second, because some of them was like, who the hell is that guy? 3 drafted from California and 3 drafted from Oklahoma, which was, again, there was a very Dave Chad theme to this draft, but he's no longer around anymore. But we can start with Jordan Yost, who was essentially, and we have audio from in the interviews and stuff like that, which we'll put up on our Patreon a little later, because I don't want to cut over right now because my computer's been crashing anytime I play video as of late. So, but he was a guy who the Tigers, it turns like he drew 1 walk his senior year or something.
No, one strikeout.
1 strikeout. Sorry, one strikeout. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. He played in the Tampa area, which is generally a pretty good. It's not like tons of awesome competition, but there are usually good players coming out of there every year in the Tampa area. You got, I think Pete Alonso was from that area, Kyle Tucker, and tons of, going back in the day, we talked about Dwight Gooden and Gary Sheffield and Wade Ball from the area. So there's solid competition there, and he played really well. It was just kind of a surprising pick to everybody because most people had him as, maybe a sandwich rounder at the most, or a second rounder, or probably going to school where his brother plays at Florida, and I think that was where he's committed. But he fits the Tigers in a lot of ways. It's the up the middle defensive profile. He's a good athlete. He's a plus runner with tons of bat to ball skills. The question a lot of people wonder is, will he ever hit for any power? It's pretty bottom of the scale raw power right now. He does look like a guy, like he's got pretty broad shoulders. He looks like a guy who can add a decent amount of muscle. And that's just kind of where you project, right? You take the guy who has the pure bat to ball skills and the athleticism and see if you can get him to hit a little harder. Who knows what'll happen down the road, but he reminds me a lot of Cole Young. I mentioned that, I think in our Discord, Cole Young, who has always been a very good hitter for the Mariners. He hit a big home run against the Tigers the other day, but he's not known for his power, and he's probably never will be. But he's a good hitter, good defender. I think he's mostly playing second base now. I think, there's a chance that Yost can play second base or center field down the road. But, yeah, you just kind of have to wait on it. And if the bat-to-ball skills are really there, like we think they are, then, he's got a chance to improve the power for sure.
So speaking of the ball skills, one of the crazy things that came out of this draft was the pick at 34, and that was Michael Alvaterio, and he. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was it
Oliveto?
Alvaro, thank you. I'm totally butchering that name. But what I wanted to do was present him talk. He talked to the press today, and I was got to get the invite on that, but it's okay. It's not Tigers have some new PR folks in there, and anyway, I just wanted to. There's a lot of cool things about Michael that you're gonna find out here in a second.
It was pretty crazy. I got I got the call from my advisor about 3 minutes before. Um, so it was a wild day. I had some family over and some of my teammates and coaches. And I was on edge once the first pick got going. I didn't feel it until then. So um, after that, it was I was kind of glued to the TV. And
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait,
no,
so
okay.
like when you woke up yesterday, where did you think you were going to be slotted? Everybody has kind of a clue.
I mean, I've heard all over the place for the last couple weeks. It's been really everywhere. Um, I knew that um, I had a really good connection with Detroit, but it was really ridiculous how far spread the slots and ideas and mocks were. So I wasn't fully positive.
So, I don't know if you guys want to hear the connection to the Detroit portion of it, but I can. You know what? Let's just play that again because you know what? It's I thought that was that part was I thought that was a cool part as well. Let me just pull that up again. And here we go.
Just from meeting the scouts, being at workouts with them, talking to them at my games. It was, they were seemed to be a team that was pretty interested. So I knew that there might have been something there, but and like that nothing's ever guaranteed in this. It's kind of wild. So
The most important. There's a other video though that you need to see this other video about him that makes him stand out, and it makes me feel a my age, but b that I can never I can't even do this. I can't do this thing. I look at it and I'm miffed by the mythical powers of how I was able to handle this thing. And so another cool fact about him too, and well, there's a lot of cool facts about him, but this one right here I think is I think the chef's kiss for everybody out there who grew up in the child of who grew up in the 80s or had a older brother or sister who had one of these things and they were able to do anything with it and do it like relatively. It was impressive when you saw somebody do it in a half hour. Watch what here in 20 seconds. Let's see here.
Shut up.
Look at this. These are the future hands that are going to be catching fastballs and sliders. And look at this. I can't stop watching it.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's I know Harrison's got a whole bunch of buddies who love doing Rubik's Cube too. They were doing them in like this school talent show. It's like it's like an algorithm, right? You just figure out what to do and then you learn it. But it's not for everybody, right? I never was able to get more than like two sides. I'm like, I don't know. I remember there was another like you talked about children in the 80s. That was when that was super popular, right? And then there were a bunch of copycats, and there was something called Instant Insanity. That was kind of like that, and I remember my brother and I used to laugh at the commercials because it was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean he's a very smart kid. You don't get into Yale on a baseball scholarship, right? Like they're not like just giving it to you because you can play baseball. You have to be a good student too. I mean, sure, I'm sure being a very good baseball player helps, but very smart kid. But really, I think the thing that stands out with him, and see a lot of people say this, is just how pretty his swing is. It just looks, it's powerful, it's fluid, it's Just awesome bat path through the zone. Just really looks good. Like a natural, great left-handed swing, and room to add a lot more power. Just he's what 6'3", 185. You can see him get to like 225, maybe 220 in his prime. The catching is going to be the question. It takes a long time for catchers to figure it out, and when you're in upstate New York or Long Island or whatever, he's Long Island, right? You're not catching a whole lot of premium arms, and he wasn't a big time catcher on the showcase circuit. So that part is going to be, take a long time probably. But yeah, we're just looking at the swing, and it's just a really nice looking swing. And this is from when he was younger, I think.
Yeah. And the one thing too about him that really stands out is, okay, so are you familiar with Brian May from Queen at all, Chris?
I am familiar with him. Yes.
Yes.
Wasn't he a physicist or something like that?
Yeah, he's did you know he also built his own guitar?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he built his own guitar, and the bat during the celebration where he's getting the announced as the pick, Michael is holding a bat. It's a bat that he potentially made himself, and I'm not kidding this. He actually had his own bat in Jupiter, and Brian Recca, who, by the way, shout out to Brian, who I think he was at Prospects Live. Brian Recca is a guy who's been, he called it too. He's created the Northeast Draft Guide, and he was a former MLB senior evaluator at Prospects Live, and does a really good job. Got to know Michael a little bit, and he grew up as a Giants fan, which is, living out in New Jersey is a little weird, but whatever, to each their own. Anyway, Michael gave us some really good reconnaissance information about him, and so he was able to fill the blanks a little bit. But yeah, if you have if you're into, anybody else in Northeast that loves baseball much as they do, this is a good guy to follow. And anyways, he has a bunch of his videos on Twitter, so go to Brian _RECCA on Twitter or X, whatever, and he'll steer you right. I mean, he's not gonna tell you that it's a guaranteed guy at 24.
No, well, yeah. That's one of the things we talk about is nobody really knows anything. One of the things that cracks me up is we did a just our version of a mock draft into the Discord, right? Like 6 or 7 people just making picks for teams, right? And we ended up getting 5 picks right, just by throwing darts at the wall. We got 5 picks right. None of the other experts got more than 4. So we did better than everybody in the industry. This was like a month ago, just picking names out of a hat, basically. So that tells you what people know in all the mock drafts and all that stuff. Things get out of whack super quickly. But somebody, Connor Forrest said, wasn't that the same scout that found him and Yost, the same one that found Kevin? It is the same scout that got Kevin McGonigal. The scout who found Yost, the scout who signed Yost is R.J. Burgess, who also signed Riley Green, who's worked out okay.
Yeah.
Because Yost is a Florida kid. But yeah, McGonigal in the Philadelphia area and Oliveto and Long Island, kind of, mid-Atlantic, Northeast. And you got to trust these scouts with their good eyes. And I don't know, they're both fun picks, but like I said, it's going to be like, I mean, we may know if they're like really good prospects at this time next year or in 2 years from now, but it's going to be hard. Like these are going to be slow burns. I think we're talking 3 years at least before they get to AA.
Yeah. And that's where, if we go back to by the way, I just wanted to we should humble brag about this a little bit.
Well, it's
cool.
It's just pure luck, but yes, we did. Our Discord group got 5 picks right, which is just kind of funny. Yeah, so those are, like I said, they're not unexpected. The direction the Tigers took, but the players that they took were kind of shocking.
Yeah, and that's where it was one of those things that, by the way, Joe, thanks so much for the $10.
That ball is gone. Such a all-time.
Are any of the players drafted in the positions any indication that the positions in the farm might be guys that here's willing to deal with the deadline? That's a really good question, Joe. And the thing is about this draft is that the Tigers play everything very close to the vest, very, very close to the vest. There was nobody got that right. Nobody got their picks right and what they did with their strategy. Even their strategy was a little different than it was last year. or for that matter, just recently, it didn't fit any type. It fit a need because of the pitching. Obviously, the Tigers right now had a bunch of injuries to their last year's picks and the 2023 draft picks, and so I think that's what we're using here with pitchers like Malachi Witherspoon, who I want to get to in a second. Ben Jacobs, a guy who I really thought the Tigers would. That was a guy I profiled right when we were doing the draft last time. I was like, oh, Ben Jacobs is a good Tiger pick, and it was, but then it continued with Caleb Lays and Ryan Hall, and I think there's going to be indication of, if you're looking for a positional standpoint, I mean, no, I think what you're going to see here is a lot of these guys, maybe a guy like, for example, trying to think of what was it, the Kale Witzke. Some of these guys are going to be really. I don't want to say complex at first, but they're gonna, maybe someone hit Lakeland right away. I mean, I can see Witherspoon in West Michigan tomorrow.
Well, I mean, with the pitchers, it's always tough because I haven't checked to see the number of innings that they worked, but the college pitchers, they usually keep them. I don't think Malachi Witherspoon. I'm checking right now. I don't think he's been pitching in like the draft league.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. So he's probably just done for the year. How many innings did he pitch this year? 74. Yeah, I don't think in their final game was the very beginning of June. So it's been 6 weeks of him. I don't think they'd ramp him back up. It's possible. We'll see. If there are any guys who've been pitching in like I said, the MLB Draft League, they may come back and pitch later in the year. That's what we saw with Micah Ashman last year. And some of these JUCO guys, it's possible too, right? Like they may have been, they may have ramped down or whatever, but they also may have not thrown more than 30 innings, and then maybe the team wants to get them some more. But that is one of the interesting things. The Tigers have seemed very willing to take JUCO players, and in particular JUCO arms. And it's just kind of fascinating. Like Lucas Elisalt's one of the more interesting draft picks they took last year. He's been awesome so far this year. And you're getting these young guys, they're usually 19 or just about to turn 20 or early 20s, and they've taken that one step from being that kind of wild high school arm to a guy who's at least pitched some competitive college baseball, and you're getting a little bit more upside there and a little bit more certainty. But they're turning over every rock they can. I mean, that was one of the things we found in this draft. You mentioned Kale Witzke, that threw everybody for a loop. Like
even the analysis, like who?
Yeah, the MLB tracker had nobody there. It had nothing, and I don't think Baseball America's tracker did either, because he was a kid. Like it's a random JUCO in Oklahoma, which they've taken several players out of that area now. But he's worked out at that pitching WRX lab or whatever, where a lot of Tigers pitchers have worked. I think they may have been tipped off there or whatever, but yeah, just a lot of interesting players here that it's all question marks right now, obviously, but some of these guys might really pop in the next year or two.
Yeah, and also I think that Daniel says, doesn't draft prove the Tigers do not care one iota about drafting third baseman? There's no third baseman to me that was like somebody that was like a must draft candidate either.
So it was a very bad year for college position players in general. I'm trying to think of even one good college third baseman. Like, I don't think there was anybody available for the Tigers at that spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you draft the players you like, and generally speaking, that's up the middle players, right? You draft shortstops, you draft center fielders, and then as time goes on, they can move around. And, down the road, you figure out third base. It doesn't really matter that much what position they play right now. It's unlikely, but there's a world where Jordan Yost randomly, grows 3 inches and gets much stronger, and it's not a shortstop anymore. He has to play third. I think it's more likely that Bryce Rayner plays third. But, yeah, they don't – teams almost never, if you're not the Angels, teams almost never draft for any kind of need in the organization. Or, they went pitching heavy this year. They did the same thing last year, and part of that is they just, they need bodies. But they don't look at it and go, oh, boy, we need – more right pitching at the big league level, because you don't know if any of these guys are going to get up and work out. Even the best players in the world, Andrew Miller, going back 20 years. Andrew Miller was the best pitcher in college baseball, just a no doubt front of the rotation starter. Didn't happen. He was not a good starter in Major League Baseball. Turned into a really good reliever, but you just never know. So you can't really take anybody with concerns about any positions. You just take the best players and you figure out the positions in the defense later.
And that's another thing too about the third base side of things. I mean, if you're looking at if the Tigers were interested, and we don't know, Andrew Fishner, the third baseman, the left-handed third baseman, went to number 20 at Milwaukee. Murph Gray, which by the way has one of the greatest names of all time, Murph Gray. The essentially the replacement to Hayes at some point here in Pittsburgh. He was an ex-third baseman to go, and he didn't go until pick 73. I mean, you're talking about like college third baseman. Ethan Hedges didn't go until pick 77. And then after that, it was Jake Monroe out of Louisville at 109 for the Angels, as you mentioned. So, yeah, go ahead.
And Fisher is a third baseman in the same way that Spencer Torkelson was a third baseman. He's a first baseman who was drafted as a third baseman. They may try him, but he's not a third baseman. Like, you know, I just go back to Alex Gordon. Gordon was a college third baseman. Ryan Braun was a college third baseman. Generally speaking, you want to draft a shortstop. You draft a college shortstop, and then you move them to third. If you draft a college third baseman, sometimes they stick. Sometimes they're Cam Smith, and they move to right field, and they're very good. Like it's like I said, you don't just necessarily draft a guy for a position. Maybe they really wanted a third baseman. There just wasn't a good option there for them. Gavin Feen is a high school third baseman, right? He went 12th.
Yeah.
So let's see. Charles M says, why would a high school player drafted in the 18th round sign? MLB tracker shows $0 pick value. That's not true. I mean, it is true that that's what it shows. But every pick after the 10th round, you get $150,000 to give to these players. So you could get a $150,000 bonus right away, and then anything beyond that it's taken from the draft pool, the bonus pool. And my guess is these high school players. I actually I've got my spreadsheet. We can put it up if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, just 1 second.
Oh, is it the one I have access to?
Do you? It's
Yeah. Is it the one was it part of the cheat sheet you shared yesterday?
Yeah, it's pool math. Yeah.
Yeah, pool math. Okay,
Sorry,
I'll pull that up right now. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
All right.
I was gonna say, if not, we can. For people, have people seen? Wait, let me ask everybody in the chat. Has everybody seen the pool video we've done?
Oh.
Has everybody seen the pool video?
It is pinned to the Twitter now, isn't it? I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll share that real quick, and then we'll explain how this will be a good way for those who are not on. Not everybody's on Twitter, so. But Chris explains the pool.
Pool in you.
Well,
Here's the bonus pool in you. Here's the bonus pool. Look at that pool, full of money. This bucket represents all the money the Detroit Tigers have to spend in this year's draft. It's roughly $11 million. They can spend it any way they want to. Most of it goes to these first two picks. We'll fill this up. Hey, there's all your money in that first pick. Fill this up. All right. There's all your money for that. But you can get clever. You don't want to spend all your money on the second pick? There. Now you can get more money in the third.
I have to pee now.
And the fourth pick.
I'm joking.
How you do it is up to you. And we've seen the Tigers do it before they.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not sorry about this whatsoever. I'm really proud of that video. I really like the music. I really like that was a lot of fun to do. But let me. I will pull up the cheat sheet too. But anyway, I just wanted to excuse to share it again because it was fun. We don't do stuff like that very often. We're always. So
yeah, everybody knows us as the serious guys.
Yeah,
we take
no
this
personality.
seriously. Yes, but and we get yelled at. But so this is just me taking my best guess at how the bonuses might be spread out. I do think that they saved a fair amount of money on those first two picks, and I do think they really liked those guys. And it was one of those things where they really liked them, and they just figured. So I don't know if you can see that. Is there a way to make it bigger?
I'll zoom in. I'll make it bigger.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So the slot you see is in that kind of yellow color. That's how much they had available to those players. And then the bonus guess there is my guess. So I figure they saved about $400,000 on Yost and about close to 600. So it's probably about $1 million on those top two players, and then small amounts on the next players. And then Ryan Hall was that high school player out of Georgia, right? Really good athlete. I think he's committed to Georgia Tech. I think he probably is going to get paid a decent amount of money. Maybe not up to $1 million like I have there, but I think he's going to get some of that money. And then you've got, I kind of about the same. Nick Dumanil, I think, is probably going to get full slot. He was considered a pretty solid prospect in this draft. He just happened to get to the 8th round. Then there's Trevor Heichman, who I think is going to get more money too. Because he's a high school player, and I don't remember where he was committed.
I want to say, you know what? I think I have it right here. I think he was committed to. Was it Oregon? No.
It could be California kid. Let me look at Perfect Game. Usually has where they're committed to. But again, it's a high school kid who let's see, uncommitted. Well then, all right. Well, maybe he's gonna not get quite as much money as I have there, but still, it's $500,000. You see the idea. You can see the column to the right of that is how much over the slot they're going. So that's almost $300,000 over slot. I think they're not going to give money to the catcher. And then River Hamilton was the big pick after that, right? The 11th pick. He was a top 100 prospect to MLB Pipeline, I think.
Yep.
Like not that high on Baseball America, but I think he's going to get a pretty sizable bonus. He's going to get the big chunk of that bonus pool. And then the rest after him are mostly, full slot, $150,000. Now, there are a couple JUCO guys in there who might get more than I expect. And maybe these high school players at the end, Meridian LeFleur and Ethan Rogers, maybe they don't get $250,000. I was giving them an extra $100,000 out of the bonus pool to sign, right? But who knows? We'll see. But, that's just my guess. It's going to look something like this, I think. I think they will probably sign 18, 19 of these guys, maybe 20. There'll probably be somebody who doesn't sign.
I think these two, 18 and 19, won't sign. That's just a theory of mine.
It's possible, although I think Josh from one of the Turmoil people found a video of him celebrating when he was drafted. That doesn't necessarily mean
Meridian.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to sign, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think some of these guys in the back half, somewhere in this 15 to 20 range, a couple of them probably won't sign. They might. Even the college guys, they might be going off to another school. But that's just the idea of kind of how they're going to spread the money around. It's mostly going to those other pitchers. And you talked about it, like this has been their MO in these 3 drafts. They've taken, high school hitters up top that they liked and then spread out the bonus money on a bunch of high school pitchers. And they may need to rethink this strategy next year. Because so far, almost all of the high school pitchers they've taken have gotten hurt and been ineffective, right? And it's not great so far. The flip side of that is they all have a lot of talent, and who knows, like another year or two down the road, they could be having like just these monster rotations in low A and high A of these guys who all have mid-rotation potential. But so far, it hasn't worked out, and it's something they may need to address.
Yeah. By the way, Stone Joker. That's funny. He said that hard to sign a guy named Meridian LeFleur. Sounds like cartoon only does. It 100% does. Yeah.
There's some fun names in here. We didn't even talk about Cash Kuiper or whatever his name. Cash. Yeah. Is it? There's a guy named Cash. Charles. Not all the 2 guys didn't sign last year.
Yeah, 2 guys. Yeah, it was 2. It was I think it was 18 and 20, right? I think
like 15 or 16. They took a top 100 prospect at pick 16, knowing that they weren't going to sign him. It was one of those. There's Anson Siebert. He was hurt, and I don't think he pitched this year in college. And then Chase Davis, they took in the 19th round, another pitcher out of a high school pitcher. He did not sign. Yeah, and Siebert was the 16th round. And the same thing and the year before, they took 2 kids in 2023 who did not sign, Bradley Stewart and Ethan Ferris. So I think they give themselves a little wiggle room in case something goes wrong, but we'll see.
Wet Whiska is my next cat's name.
It's a pretty fantastic name.
Yeah.
And like Joey Wimpelberg, come on.
Yeah, exactly. That was another one too where I saw that and I was thinking of like the Wimpy Burger from Pluto or from Popeye. That's what I was
thinking. Funky Winker Bean.
Funky Butt Lovin'. It was the Tigers, I think, did what they had to, as far as of just addressing their depth. I know they signed a free agent, undrafted free agent already out of Xavier. Somebody mentioned that earlier. So there is a lot of things that they're going to be able to do with this draft. It's just a matter of them getting healthy. But as far as how's that going to affect the trade deadline, not really. I mean, it's just some of these guys are way too projection heavy. I mean, the one arm that I really liked that was I think it was Trevor Heischman. That's a guy who I think, if he hits all his potential, could be effective. But it's just a matter of like 3 years from now, as you mentioned earlier. 3 years seems to be the case. Charlie Christensen, who was a kind of a college arm they picked up, same thing. Like he could be in West Michigan's bullpen next year, being a weapon, or down in Lakeland, earning his lumps. I'm not sure. But the guys in the Great Plains and Oklahoma, like that was the two are like was a story that came where Kale and Cash faced each other not too long ago. So
yeah, and they may have been on the same travel team together. They're in the same league. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles.
That ball is gone.
So he said
building.
So go ahead.
If a team has leftover money where players don't sign, can they carry it over to next year? They cannot. No, it's use it or lose it. And even beyond that, and this is why you could generally count on players taken in the first 10 rounds to sign. If a team does not sign the player they drafted in the first 10 rounds, they lose that bonus pool money. So second round pick, $2 million or whatever, you don't sign him, you don't get to spend that $2 million somewhere else. So that's, generally speaking, when you see somebody get taken in the top 10 rounds, they've got the deal ironed out all together and they're good. That's, as I said, generally speaking, there were 315 players taken in the top 10 rounds last year, and 4 didn't sign. So 98.7% of these guys are going to sign. Usually it's when it doesn't happen, it's guys who said, I'm going to school, don't draft me, and teams are like, nah, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
We'll rub these $2 million under your nose, and the kids are like, I'm serious. So that's how it goes.
So as far as so JW says, it seems like we, quote, reached on top 4 picks. Top 4 were rated more than twice down the player ranks than our pick. I get it. We don't follow the aggregated ranks, but is the list that wrong? No, JW and Deadly Ninja Bees, I cannot talk this evening. Tiger Scouts are better than Baseball Americas. I would agree with that. Look, JJ Cooper, I felt like got under attack all weekend too.
What?
It was because they were talking about some Yankee prospect, because Spencer, what's the guy's name down in AAA that's been hitting
Spencer Jones.
Spencer Jones has been hitting the cover off the ball. A lot of Yankee fans are upset that he's not a top 100 prospect, and they've been going after like JJ for his strikeout rate and everything. Look, Baseball America does a fantastic job, and their intel, they provided a lot of the core of our scouting report, like the reports I was able to craft really quickly, because I was able to watch a lot of video that's out there. They did a fantastic job, and they're the backbone of any prospect list out there. I mean, they are above and beyond. However, the one thing that I think that Chris and I and we've talked about this numerous times, between myself, Jerry, Colin, Ashley, is that if you see something else that Baseball America doesn't see, case in point, Jose Pinho, Jeff Pontus. Remember the first time when we had Jeff on, when Brazingio was down in Lakeland, you and I were all excited about Brazingio, and he's like, I don't think I think he's got a groove swing. There it goes again with the thumbs up. He's got a groove swing. He doesn't. He's gonna struggle against higher level pitching, and that wasn't the case. We disagree with Jeff. It's okay. If we all see something differently, Baseball America is not they're very important to what you do. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I think there's a couple things that are important here, and Deadly Ninja Bees is kind of right. The Baseball America has a very talented staff. They have a lot of guys who work very hard. They cover amateur and professional baseball as well as anybody. And they go and watch as much as they can. They're at these events. What they don't do is, generally speaking, go to a random high school game in Long Island to watch one player play. So I mean, sometimes they would, but it would not be a guy who's a late mover up the draft. And so when they don't see, I mean, they see maybe a lot of the top 100 prospects in the draft, but they don't see everybody else. And when they're doing that, they're relying on what other scouts and evaluators are telling them. And what have we learned about the Tigers the last couple of years, especially this front office? They are a vault. They don't tell anybody anything. Like if you see somebody, we heard rumors about these players. I'm sure some Tigers brass were seen at these games, but that's it. I don't think they're sharing with anybody what they think about a player, where they think a player is ranked. So, and that's just their MO. There are other teams that are maybe more willing to talk about it, maybe don't care. There are teams that like to play that game, that counter espionage game, right? Like where we say, "Oh, we love this player," push them up the boards or whatever, and then they don't like them. Just stuff like that, yeah. But then the other thing is you got to draft and take talent that fits your philosophy and your developmental strengths and what you like. And I think, and I'm not saying anything like, I'm not saying this is going to end up being like the best draft in Tigers history or whatever. Maybe it won't work at all. You never know. There's a huge risk in all this. But you can go back, 3 years ago, and look at all the people talking about the Lions, the Detroit Lions draft, the year that they took Jahmyr Gibbs and was it Jack Campbell and Sam Laporta, and everybody thought that was the worst draft ever. They were taking they were like, oh, these are fine players, but you're taking them 40 spots too high or something like that, right? And that's just been a spectacular draft because all those players really fit their system.
Yeah.
And they're better talent evaluators than the idiots who write for, ESPN and Yahoo. Yeah. Not to say that they're idiots, you know what I mean? But like they're not professional football people. And so Baseball America and ESPN, Fangraphs, and everybody else, they're not in the Tigers front office. They don't know what the Tigers are capable of doing and how to develop these guys or how they fit within the Tigers system. So it's you can say, that they reached for these guys, but they're the guys that the Tigers liked, and we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Kylie McDaniel, all these guys are really good at what they do. They're absolutely phenomenal. I mean, like Eric Longenhagen, I mean, the guy needs help, all the help in the world, because he's doing it all by himself at Fangraphs, and he does a very good job. I miss his live stream. That's always a thing every year we look forward to. But they bust their ass too. But there's scouts out there who are, there's a story of a scout somewhere who stays at the Super 8 motel. He's got his backpack, he's got his laptop or his tablet. He's sitting there going, man, I got to go to Woodstock, New York today to watch two guys play. Great, awesome. So he's got to go in the middle of Woodstock, New York, in the middle of a summer, or I'll make this more relatable for anybody who lives in Michigan. Imagine you have to go to Bay City West, or you have to go see Bay City, okay? And you're coming from you're out on the west side of the state, and you have to go out to Bay City. Now it's on the other side of the state. And you have to go there, and then, you're hungry, so you have to go and you're trying to eat healthy, so you try to get a salad somewhere, something like that. All this logistics stuff. Anyway, they're out there, so not to mention they have to cultivate relationships with the parents. I mean, in the case of their second pick, he was committed to going to Yale until a few months ago. I mean, he was that was a dead set thing. But the scout who was very harping on them and insisting the Tigers take this guy high, built a rapport with him to the point where he was like, he looked at his swing and was like, yeah, you're a first round talent. You are a guy who can help us right away. And to build that relationship, to go and do all the legwork for it, I really admire the scouts. Like I know people say a scout told me, like, scouts don't want to be known. They don't want because the moment their name is out there, it kind of ruins everything for them in certain degrees. So they are like it's a thankless job. I mean, when we go out and scout a player or whatever the case is, it's not nearly as in depth as when you see these guys in there with their backpacks, with their nice pleated pants, and they are. They're eating their peanuts, but they're on the road for like 7 straight days, and the last thing they want to do is watch a guy. Maybe the last thing they want to do is watch a guy go 0 for 3 or what have you. But they're out there. I mean, yeah.
It's a logistical nightmare, I think, for doing this, and I mean that's why you need these area scouts, the ones that are in the area, and they get to know these coaches and they see these players for 2-3 years coming up, and they have a good idea of who they are and what they've become. It's the same way. I feel like we have an advantage over some other people just because we watch the same players all the time. So we can see these guys in April, see how they look in June, and see how they look in August, and see what they've changed, how they've gotten better. And that's what these scouts have built these relationships with these guys. But the thing is, like, you bring in the higher level guys just for like a game. And I go back to when I went to, I don't go to see high school players very often, but I went to see Nick Plummer because he was going to be a first rounder. Nick Plummer was an outfielder who played for Brother Rice. And I went to that game, and I think he got 4 at-bats, and they intentionally walked him 3 times. And then his 1 at-bat, they had to pitch to him once because the bases were loaded. They had no choice. And he pulled the ball about 1 billion miles an hour. His bat speed was just too fast for this pitching. You know, he wasn't facing a potential college pitcher even. And he just, like, oh my God, that speed's insane, but there's nothing he could do about it. He's too fast. And then he had a sac fly to left. And it was like, okay, decide if you want to take that guy in the first round from that game. It's like, things are much better now. They've got video, they've got data from all that stuff, and you have the showcase circuit, which is really important. But that just goes to show you, like, you might catch a kid who has a terrible game and think he's not very good, and meanwhile he's awesome in every other game. It's tough out there. That's why you need to rely on these area scouts. Yeah,
and they have to. You have to go see a guy more than once just to kind of really gauge opinion. Again, he might have had he might have had a bad Friday night, whatever the case is. It's important to get multiple looks, and that's the thing with us sometimes when a guy gets, for example, when Chris Rodriguez hit the scene, I hadn't seen Chris Rodriguez hit. I don't know what he was going to be, so why would I put him in the top 10 automatically? Because of what other people say? No, I mean, I have to, right now, the stands we're going to have to re-rank probably by the beginning of August. We're probably sooner, probably by the beginning of August, you think?
Yeah, well, we'd like to wait until after the trade deadline.
Yeah, deadline, yeah.
Now, this is a year where the Tigers are highly unlikely to add pieces at the trade deadline, although maybe they could pull a Dodgers and, trade off and then get prospects in return too. But usually that's when we do our final kind of draft ranking for the year. And so, yeah, we'll have to where some of these guys slot in and things like that. But, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a fun process, and who knows how many of these guys we will actually see play this year. We're not going to see Oliveto, and we're not going to see Yost play until the Bridge League, maybe. We'll get some secret Bridge League footage. But I could see, I know we talked about Witherspoon already. I could see some of the college hitters that they took. Dumanil, who was it? It took Jack Goodman, the shortstop from, I think he might be my new favorite. He's going to be my new Jarvis. Jarvis. Goody. And they took a first baseman, which is super rare for them. They have not taken a corner bat at all. They took Carson Rucker as the third baseman, and they took another kid but didn't sign him. So in 3 years, they've taken 3 corner bats total.
Another kid, John at Bushel said, from down under, hailing from, is it Adeline?
Adelaide. I think he's
Adelaide.
assigned.
Thank you, Adelaide.
They assigned him to the Dominican League team. I don't know if he's actually going to play down
Mitch
there.
Evans? Yeah, I think, that's right. Yeah, good call there. Yeah, that's a lefty kid. I'm glad the Tigers are able to.
He's big.
I think he's a big kid, too. I saw the picture of him earlier. That's a good call, John. I totally forgot about it. They got buried during draft season, the first 3 days, the 3 days leading up to draft season, then the 3 days afterwards. My brain's
I did feel like I was neglecting our baby a little bit here. I didn't put out many clips for the minor league team. It didn't help that Lakeland was playing at Tampa, so we had zero footage of that. You mentioned Chris Rodriguez. He did go 3 for 3 with 2 steals today. That's something nice to see.
Nice.
And then down in, I guess, the FCL, the best news down there was that Brett Callahan was back and played. And they were facing Alek Manoah, which looked like another disaster for Manoah. I think he gave up a single to Callahan and then 2 walks and hit Jude Warwick, and it was out. Jude Warwick got hit in his first 2 plate appearances today and then left the game, so hopefully he's okay. It's tough down there in the FCL.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we didn't pay a ton of attention to the minors this week, which is a bummer a little bit because they did have 3 players of the week. They had Max Alba was the pitcher of the week in the Midwest League, 6 innings of no shutout ball. Ricardo Hurtado was the hitter of the week in the Florida State League. He went 8 for 16 with a homer and 3 goals. And then Wilberth Mendez, a guy we talked about at the very beginning of the season because we saw him a little bit in like FCL scrimmage, and I like the way his sinker slider mix.
Yeah.
He went 5 scoreless in the Florida Complex League to be player of the week. So shout out to those guys. Toledo had a good week. Erie actually lost their first series of the year, although there's an asterisk there because the 6th game of the series was rained out. So
yeah. There's I do like what Scott Wilson said here. Too many Couch GMs complain because they don't draft who they want.
Yeah,
I'll admit that last year I wanted Cam Smith last year, but at the same time, it is what it is. I mean, there's guys I like. Am I going to complain that they don't? No, but I mean, if it's something that stands out that it's a loud hit tool, Cam Smith, then yeah. But it is what it is. No big deal.
When we do this, when we lead up to these drafts, I think all of us, we tend to just kind of read these scouting reports, right, and see who sounds fun to us. It's not like some people probably do this. They pour through all the footage they can find online, but we don't really have that amount of time. Like when we find somebody that we really like the sound of, I'll go and watch. So we get our favorites. We all get our favorites, but really, to Scott's point, everybody's just looking at the rankings.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's 90th, and they took him 24th. What's wrong with that? What are they doing? Who knows where he was on the Tigers board? He was probably a lot higher than 90th. So
yeah, like there's certain types there are certain types of players, and like one of the things I mentioned about the pitchers is like the lanky type, that guys who can tight spin, who could throw 3 pitches effectively. That's a lot of the guys they got were selected that way. I mean, change up was a common pitch among them. There was a common theme with everybody too. I mean, as far as like take away the New York thing for a moment or California, there was a type to every one of these. They follows it to a T.
Well, it's there is and there isn't. Like to me, they got a lot of different profiles of pitchers here. Like Malachi Witherspoon, their first pitcher they took, throws very hard. He's got really nasty stuff, but a lot of people project him to be a reliever because the strikes are iffy and the fastball isn't in great shape. I'd be shocked if they put him into the bullpen right away. I think they're going to try to start him. I don't see why you wouldn't. And then you followed up with Jacobs, who you mentioned, who a lot of people like him a lot and think he could actually be better than he was in college, which is nice to hear. And then there's another one of those Northeast guys. I think it's the same scout that took Oliveto and McGonigal, the pitcher from Maine, who's got, and again, do not make this comparison beyond just kind of an interesting story. There's a little bit of Tarek Skubal there. He was a guy who was interesting and then blew out his arm in his junior year and came back. And he's got some really interesting stuff. The fastball's been up to 96. It doesn't live there. But I think they said his extension is 7'2", which is crazy for a 6'1" guy. So, yeah, just interesting arms there. And then they come back with the Oregon pitcher, who's kind of a classic, just kind of soft tossing lefty who knows how to pitch. So there's just a little bit of everything in all these guys, and then all those JUCO arms, and then the super athletic high school pitcher Ryan Hall. That's he's a guy that they say that doesn't throw a ton of strikes just yet, but he's a really good athlete, so they think he will, and has good stuff. So a lot of interesting arms in this draft.
Yeah, I do want to pull up Caleb a little bit for a second because I wanted to get a better idea of how he pitched before we call it an evening. But yeah, this is him.
Caleb Lays?
Yep, Caleb Lays. Mm-hmm. And then this is Brian, courtesy of Brian Reska, who we were just talking about earlier. The Black Bears, by the way, for those, it's Maine's traditionally a hockey school.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it sounds like he's got an interesting arsenal, and they did kind of pile on the lefties this year, which is interesting, right? Like you got Jacobs, Grinzel, Lays, Heichman, and Ethan Rogers. What, five lefty pitchers?
There was total. Yeah, there was 10 pitchers, so 5 lefty. I'm sorry, was it?
I think 13 pitchers, 5 lefties.
13. I'm sorry, yeah, 5 lefties. I'm sorry, 13 pitchers, 5 lefties. The rest were righties. Looks
like pretty good mechanics to me. Yeah. Like I'm no ball knower, and looks like he could add a little bit of weight too.
Change up. I think he's gonna. I think his changeup will play really well off that angle too.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a really interesting. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's weird to like try to pick a sleeper or somebody that you think might be better than where they drafted, but it wouldn't shock me if he does. I mean, he's a 4th-round pick, so they obviously like him, right?
I like what Christopher said here. He said, what I like about the MLB draft over other sports is you generally can't predict where the next lineup or rotation table will come from. You're absolutely spot on about that. And that, whereas the NBA draft is like I'm not saying every first round draft is going to be a guaranteed thing, but you have a good chance of a good idea. But then what's amazing to me about the MLB draft is that when Tarek Skubal was drafted in the 9th round, it was a guy who was injured, and his draft stock fell, and the Tigers had a relationship with him, scouted him very well, and took advantage of it. And I don't think you can do that with other sports. I mean, I think maybe to a certain extent, hockey to a certain extent, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not a draft expert on any other sport, but I think baseball. I mean, football to a certain extent, college recruiting. You know, they're highly recruited. They have a good relationship with like either a linebacker coach or something to that effect. But the first relationship, I think, what's unique about baseball, it starts with the scout, and the scout, you know, that's where it's out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fascinating too that very infrequently, and maybe it's like this in other sports. I don't know. I feel like hockey has a pretty strong hit rate at the number 1 overall pick, and I don't know, football. You know, it's hit or miss with quarterbacks, but you can get a great first overall pick, like somebody who does really well, and it's not the best player in the draft by like a long shot, right? Like sometimes it's just hard to know. So Steven Strasburg went first overall in 2009. Pretty good pick, right? Worked out, but Mike Trout also went in that draft like 24 picks later. So it was like, who knows? There's probably a Hall of Famer in this draft that we just watched that's probably not the first overall pick.
By the way, somebody mentioned Shane, the kid out of Texas A&M, Shane Seto. I think he said he's coming back to school. Pardon me?
Yeah, Shane Sedao.
Yeah, Seto, yeah.
Or Sedao, I don't know how you pronounce this. Yeah, there were a couple guys who were going back to school. There's a Georgia kid, I think. And there were a couple of guys who were going to LSU who took their name draft, which happens, and particularly now with NIL and guys getting paid, that's going to happen a little bit more often. And we saw, I don't think Uli Fernsler got drafted. The, let me see, the lefty out of Novi.
No, I don't think he did. By the way, Charles says, Casey Mize is looking at you harshly, Mr. Brown.
What did I do?
The Casey Mize is looking at you harshly, apparently.
Yeah, but why? What did I do about Casey Mize?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You never poo-pooed.
Well, I mean, I think we didn't say, like, we said he's not going to be like a face or whatever, but I don't know. Like I always said, you know, you look at that draft. Oh, he's a first overall pick, so he's not the best player in that draft. Well, of course not. It didn't work out that way. They ended up getting the best player in that draft, but they took him in the 9th round. So that's the way it goes.
Yeah, Connor. Yeah, the only one kid was, I believe, the kid out of Bay City Western who was drafted.
LaCourse.
Yeah,
LaCourse he was.
Yeah, of course, by the Angels too, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I guess Blake Ilitch didn't go. Nope. Well, and Mitch Voigt got drafted. He's not from.
Yeah, I really wanted Mitch Voigt.
What's interesting is it sounded like he was really moving up the boards there at the end because it was a mix of performance, but also like the underlying data was really good. That everything he was doing, high exit velocities, ideal launch angles, above average run, all that stuff. And he's drafted as a 2-way player, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that too, by the way. I think the Tigers drafted a couple 2-way players. I think the last pick too might have been, or I know he's more of a position player. He's a position player, but I think he pitched at one point too. The last pick that the Tigers had.
Yeah. I mean, they drafted him as an outfielder, but yeah, he said he's a 2-way player. I'm looking. There were only 3 people who were designated as 2-way players in the draft. Mitch Voigt was one of them. Josh Owens was one of them, which I did not see coming.
Yeah, me neither.
And he's a guy I really wanted. I didn't see him as a 2-way player. We'll see what happens. And then DJ Newman from Bowling Green as a 2-way player in the 15th round. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, Alan, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, there was a friend of the show, Connor. His brother went to Saginaw Valley. His brother played with this guy for Saginaw Valley. Good call there. I forgot totally about that. Yeah.
Saginaw Valley.
Yeah, Saginaw Valley.
Let me see. Jake Shelagowski 13th round to the Cardinals. He's going to end up being good because stupid Cardinals.
Yeah.
But
He went from
good
one
for him.
Cardinals to another. Yeah. Saginaw Valley State is, I believe, Saginaw Valley is the Cardinals too. So there you go. But yeah, that was the Tigers. A lot of these guys we're not going to hear from for a while. We'll keep you posted. So on our draft board that I just have up there, we will have that as the picks come in, as all the bonus pool gets straightened out. So we're going to have the slides for you for Patreon folks on Wednesday. And we'll be sprinkling some draft profiles on both our Patreon for our paid folks and on the website as well. So there'll be plenty of content coming out the next couple of days. And probably, arguably, you know what, Chris, I think this is safe to say, this is the slowest time of year for sports. There's no football yet.
This used to be the worst. It was like,
yeah.
That's why they used to have the ESPYs, right? It's like, there's nothing else going on.
Yeah, the ESPYs,
you might get some tennis or some golf, like if you're desperate and a kid home from school in the summer.
Now cornhole. Cornhole is really popular now on ESPN, apparently.
We have
darts. I watched what's up?
We have a cornhole tournament at work next Wednesday.
Oh, really? Lucky.
Yeah.
We're doing it cool. I have to do TPS reports, essentially, my day job. No, but I was watching last week, or we're out on Mondo's with the family, my niece's birthday, and darts was on us, and everybody was stopping to watch darts, and they had it at Madison Square Garden. Holy crap, that thing is really fun to watch. The dart, cause just
really,
boom, 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 three straight 20s, like double 20. It's like there's precision. It's insane, and they make it so casual. So anyway, Austin said he played against DJ Newman in high school. Nice.
Now we get to. So who wants to get ready for the 2026 draft? Huh?
Not I.
No, it's actually going to be a really good one. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Good draft to pick up at the top, but we'll see.
So
a lot of good shortstops again.
A lot of good shortstops again.
College and high school. George Lombard's brother, Grady Emerson, Rock Chalowski, Justin LeBron. It's going to be great.
Red Stapler.
Milton.
Yeah.
No salt. No salt.
No salt. I'm going to get paid again. It'll give me a paycheck. No, but
TPS reports.
No show. Yeah. You're right. The TPS reports. Some of the stuff I wish I could tell you guys. I know. It's a TPS joke. I got a second. It took me a second, Charles. I'm running on no sleep. It's been a long couple days. So no show on Thursday. Crazy Clown, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for everybody who, again, tuned in yesterday and today. But yeah, no show on Thursday. I'm sorry. We did 4.5 hours of content yesterday. We still have some content to do. And Friday, we're going to be out in Erie. So Friday, we're going to Erie. So Friday, for the first time in a while, Chris is going out to Erie with me. So Friday, Saturday, and I think maybe Sunday. I don't know. Depends on what time we're going to leave Sunday. We will be out there. We will be out there for the first home game for Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, and Josue Briseño, and then be out there for the first Moon Mammoths game. Unfortunately, our buddy Greg, has bigger things to take care of. He's being called into duty for the Tigers again, but we'll be hanging out with Sam and Fuzz, the new mascot, and it should be pretty fun. The people of Erie are always awesome to us. Yeah, the people of Erie are fantastic. JW, we'll answer this question real quick. Is Tyrone expandable in your opinion? Yes. Yeah. Yes, he is. Yes. I think. Yes, he is. Honestly, I think. Yeah, I don't think they would. I don't think they would trade Clark, McGonigal, or Rayner, and I think they would not. They don't want to trade Briseño, but they might if there's a monster deal there. But I think that Lorenzo, I think they would be willing to move. How you Lee, they'd probably be willing to move. Max Anderson, what do they call him? Marty, yeah. Marty. I think everybody is expecting him to get traded. Maybe some of the pitchers. I don't think they want to trade Troy Melton, but if they were to get an ace level pitcher, I'd put him in the deal. Like if they were to get Mackenzie Gore or something like that, I think they'd be willing to put in a deal. But who knows? They really love, as we talked about it. Scott Harris loves to build that farm and grow from within. And you guys are kind of pushing us into this, but that's going to be probably the next 2 weeks of speculation. After this weekend in Erie, it's going to be a whole lot of
trade speculation and trade
Yeah,
season.
it's gonna be trade.
So we'll
It's gonna be
see.
trade season. Yeah, so expect us to crank out the articles, but not be clickbaitish about it. MCM, Motor City Bengals. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, right. Clickbait crap. No, I used to not like doing them, like trade articles, but I try to make it as realistic as possible. I try my hardest because I don't want to do something like, well, Mackenzie Gore for a bag of balls and Jaden Ham and maybe they like Andrew Magno. Well, throw Andrew Magno in there, something like that. No, I don't ever try to. I don't. Anyway, yeah, I love reckless speculation too. But all right, stay close, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. And yeah, well, actually, we'll see you if you're out in Erie Friday. Come say hello. Or this weekend, it's gonna be jam-packed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we look forward to talking baseball with you in person. We might do a little thing out there. Maybe it'll be cool with John Oliver. I don't know. Anybody be interested in that? Man, we'll see.
I don't know. Should we bring him a shirt? Do we have a
We
shirt?
should bring a shirt. Do we have a shirt? Yeah, I might have a shirt. Yeah, it's a good idea.
I
Stay
have no
close,
idea
everybody.
how big he is in real life.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he might be a large. I mean, I think he's a medium. He's proper.
No, he's apparently 6 feet tall. So, probably
that's actually
probably
really
large.
good idea. Yeah, large. Yeah. All right, I'll make that happen. Have a good night, everybody.
All right.